Oscar here.
And Mama. Welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're going to cover the best episodes of Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur so far.
Yes, and with the first season now over on Disney Plus, and a second season's already in production, we're going to tell you what we think are the best episodes of the show so far, as seen on the Disney Channel.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notification buttons on future podcasts, and want to pause videos.
Absolutely. So you know what we already think of this series. We did a podcast on the pilot as well as the first episode.
Right.
So you know we've read the comic and we're seeing how this season progresses.
Right. And right now the season's supposed to have about 20 episodes. It looks like it's almost at the end of airing these on Disney Channel. So far, 16 episodes have aired on TV, but there's still a few more left. It looks like it's reaching the beginning of a story arc in a cliffhanger. And we haven't seen the whole thing for Disney Plus, so a lot of people have already finished it way ahead of us because of Disney Plus access. So we'll avoid doing a bunch of spoilers. We're just going to be discussing what 5 episodes we consider to be the best of the series so far.
We won't tell you about these 5 episodes, so we'll only spoil these 5.
Right.
So our countdown now begins.
All right.
Yeah, I'm magic. Don't you know what you do, baby?
For us, the best episode so far, number 5, is Today I Am a Woman.
I'm a woman.
Did we say if we're going to do 5? No, we didn't. We're going to tell you the 5 best episodes so far.
Okay. Yes. So in this one, it kind of follows a bit of the newfound formula Disney has gone into with having an episode focus on a character's bar mitzvah for the Jewish tradition. And for this one, it's Casey, who is half Jewish. She's celebrating.
She's having a bat mitzvah.
Right, she's having a bat mitzvah, and her biggest concern is that hers won't be as big as another girl's who always has to have the biggest, most outlandish parties. So she believes that in order to get more attention, she'll have Moon Girl show up, which works, but at first it actually goes really well, but then when influencers start showing up and lots of people giving her lots of attention, she's getting likes and things online, she kind of doesn't want it to end. And Lunella starts to feel like she's only there just to get the publicity only.
And the influencer is really strategic in getting her to take her focus off her family and friends and put them on her and the cameras and getting the attention.
Right.
And that's what she keeps telling her, oh girl, if you do this, then it's going to be the best party. You've already done the triplets. And yes, they have some triplets in here just like they did in the original Proud Family, the chain triplets.
Right.
They got a set in here. And that set has so far thrown the best bat mitzvah.
Right.
So she wants to beat them.
Right. And as I said, it's going well, but she's so obsessed with getting all the attention and the likes and being the best that it starts to actually harm her friendship with Lunella. And we originally thought this was going to be a bit tropish because people have done this trope before where they focus more on getting attention and their friends and so forth. And we did state that the friendship between Casey and Nella seemed a bit fast in the beginning, considering she's a new character. But they actually did a good job on actually making it look more in depth. And you could actually empathize with Lunella because she was enjoying it and having fun helping her until it got to this point. And it really shows or tests their friendship.
Definitely. It ended up being fun. Ended up having a great message that came across. They actually ended up, I should say, working things out, which you knew they would because it's still too early in the season for them not to.
Right.
But the way they did work it out, they understood how the other person felt, and they had some really weird scenes within here. Like one, they said it was the Sabbath, but then they said you can't come inside the synagogue with music because of the Sabbath, but then outside the partying, which wouldn't happen on the Sabbath.
Yeah, like which
because,
is it?
Yes, you stay in and you go to the synagogue, but you don't party and play music and be
Yeah,
on the
which is
street.
why it was really confusing. Like, is her birthday on the Sabbath or is it after the Sabbath? Because you're giving us two different images.
So yeah, the party actually being on the Sabbath period during that time didn't quite make sense, but we'll roll with it.
Right.
So, the fourth best episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur so far is Devil on Her Shoulder.
Yes. And this was, I believe, the 13th episode, so a little over halfway of the season. And this one, they take Right. And in this one, they take a little short bit from the comic where Devil wants to be smaller so he can go into the places that Lunella goes into. He's too big to fit into buildings or the movies or pretty much anywhere, and he feels like he's being left out of a lot of things because he's too big. So she makes him the teenager of tininess, which is actually something from the comic, but they decided it wasn't something from Doctor Strange, it was something from Goliath, and we understand why they wanted to change that when you tell. And it works on Devil. He's really happy, and they get to do all kinds of things outside. He's their size, and he's having the time of his life.
With she and Casey.
Right.
So he's loving
He
it.
gets to go to the movies, got to eat ice cream, got to play the games and everything. He loved it. Then when it came time to go home and get back to his normal height, he really doesn't want to do it. He's really sad. And usually it's Lunella that causes a problem. This time it was Devil. He sneaks and drinks it, and he becomes even tinier. He thought it'd make him last long or small, but he ends up shrinking and shrinking to near microscopic size.
And at one point he's the size of a puppy, and he looks like a cute puppy.
Right.
And then he gets like he's the size of a parrot.
Right.
Hence, Devil on Her Shoulder.
Right. And then they have to try to enlarge him again before he shrinks so small they can't see him. And then they have their Godzilla versus Kong shot out with a giant rampaging ape-like monster that's really pissed that he's portrayed as a monster destroying the city as he's destroying the city in anger. It's like, you know, you're not really making your case. You're going and doing what you're doing in the movie. So it ends up being kind of like a message of don't judge people by the size. Big and small, everyone's different and all that, which was like, okay, they kind of threw in that at the end. It could have just stayed with him shrinking and all that.
But it was funny because before the end, he and the monster he's fighting with become buddies, and then Lunella tells him that it was her fault, not his fault. She should have let him know that he was perfect as he was all along. It was
Right.
really sweet.
Right.
So, our third choice for best episode of Moon Girl and Dinosaur so far, Like Mother, Like Moon Girl.
Yes. And this one was a bit different from their other ones. One little issue I had with the earlier episodes was that it seemed like it didn't know when to calm down. It had a lot of music, a lot of things going across the screen. It was very, very fast paced, and it's fine for lots of younger viewers because the goal is to keep their attention. So if they do a bunch of things, it keeps them focused on the screen. For older ones, it seems like it's a bit much to process, and it feels like they're all over the place. Well, with this one, they actually tried to accompany that with having a more calmer episode.
And I'm thinking because the mom was a big focus of this episode,
Yes.
not just making a cameo or an appearance in the beginning and the end.
Right.
She actually was a big part of the episode.
Right. So for this one, it's supposed to be a block party, and lots of people have gone through that with their neighborhoods having a block-wide or city-wide party. Everyone's inviting and partying and everything. Well, these two new characters come in who you know are just like Jesse and James without the crazy hair.
Yes.
And they claim, they want to help make the area even better. And at first, okay, we're in for that. They'll give us some money, help promote the city. Okay. And at first it turns out, okay, they're just adding some extra technology to the place and making it better. But then as it goes on, they're constantly changing it, adding more things. They're taking away the music, they're taking away the color, and they're making it gray and drab. And then eventually it doesn't even become Lower East Side anymore. And they pretty much do a low-key gentrification where it's just nothing. They're not doing anything. It's just quiet. And to a point where it's no longer the area that she knows. And you can actually tell it's hitting everything because they stopped having music playing in the background, even just for accompaniment. There's no music playing on the street. And when a battle scene, they have muted the whole thing, so the entire battle was done without a song,
Right.
which usually was accompaniment throughout the series so far. A song is played for the battle, but in here they silenced everything, so you really had to watch and see how they counteracted without sound until the end. So they actually tried to have a more calmer, more serious episode, and they actually did well with it by taking away the music to emphasize that this is not a good thing that's happening. Now, they don't go into stereotypes with how the people look they're doing it, because that's the first thing that comes to mind, but you get the idea they're saying as it goes on, and it comes across much better than just making it one-sided and biased.
Right, definitely. So, our second choice, or the number 2 choice, let's just say, on the 5 best episodes of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur so far, and one of my favorites is Good Night, Moon Girl.
Yes.
I love this episode.
Yes. It looks like this seems to be a favorite of both the writers and the people watching.
And this actually has been inspired by an actual, an actual comic or
Yeah,
an actual
an issue in the
issue in
comic.
the comic, right? So we absolutely love it. And in this episode, Moon Girl creates something that involves the house remote
Mm-hmm.
that allows her to switch brains for some reason with Devil Dinosaur.
Right.
And she thinks she can control it, but alas, she ends up not being able to control when it happens.
Right.
And yes, hilariousness ensues, but it is brilliant hilariousness. It isn't tropey. It isn't just, okay, we'll do this, you'll laugh, and we'll resolve it. Some issues are covered within the episode. Her low self-confidence is addressed,
Mm-hmm.
and her friendship is strengthened with Casey.
Right.
So not only are you having fun, but there's some really good moments and a really great lesson.
Right. And this is the most accurate that they've been to the comic in terms of a story. While it didn't involve Sleepover in the comic, there was this thing where they were switching brains, but they didn't know how it happened. It always happened at the worst times. You do find out what it was later, but knowing there was an explanation for a while actually fits for them making up their own version. And the funniest part to me was when it gets towards the end, their facial expressions change. Devil looks more simplistic because it's Lunella, and then Lunella's face looks jagged and messed up, and the tooth sticking out, yellow eyes, and when she has on the helmet on, she looks freaking crazy. Her teeth are just jagged up, and she looks like a Neanderthal.
And it reminds you, if you're a Dexter fan, it really reminds you of the omelette du fromage episode, because no matter what she does, it works out perfectly.
Right.
This group of people is
We're
like,
just like,
what
what?
is happening?
You're like, what? They like that?
And the more it's happening, the more Lunella is getting upset in the body, her brain in the body of Devil Dinosaur, and she begins to think, well, they like Devil Dinosaur better than her. And it's like, oh no.
Right. And it's definitely the funniest one that they've had so far in this season or series. It's the most accurate they've stayed to the comic. They made it really fun. They put a cool twist on it. And you're kind of just laughing the whole time. It's
Yes.
the most fun episode from start to finish. If you ever had one gripe, it was like, you kind of didn't need to turn into Moon Girl because there was no villain in
Absolutely.
the episode. It was like, okay, they took some, transformed into Moon Girl. It was like, why? You don't need to.
But after she did, there was a hilarious part after that was like, okay, this works.
Right.
She had to become Moon Girl for this scene to happen.
Right, and
So
her
then we're like,
teeth.
okay.
Right, and her teeth. Oh my gosh.
But yes, this is by far, as Rascal said, the funniest episode. So if you haven't watched this series and you watch one first, then we would say watch Good Night, Moon Girl first.
Right.
And our number one choice for the best 5 episodes of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur so far is, believe it or not, the pilot episode.
Yes, Moon Girl Landing, right?
Yes. And it is the best so far. It was the longest because it was an hour-long episode.
Mhm.
Of course with commercial breaks, but probably with all the commercials about 45 minutes. And for us, it seems like with that 45-minute episode, they did a great job with making it stay cohesive.
Mhm.
and entertaining, engaging with the music and the storyline. Everything worked perfectly for the pilot episode. Is what made us continue on and see would this really play out the way that the comic does, or is it going in a different direction, incorporating some of the storylines?
Right. And you're right. It seems like they work better when they have more time to do a story. The 20-minute episodes can work, but depends on the storyline they're doing and who's in charge of the writing, because we've seen with these few episodes where it's great story, great plot, great comedy, and then others that we didn't cover where it seemed like the focus is all over the place and all the writers' input got mixed together in one. But with this one, instead of maybe an hour long or a 45-minute episode, is enough time for them to get everything across until a full story that I feel like is going way too fast or leaving something out.
And another reason it works better is because, at least on the Disney Channel when it airs, you really get 3 7-minute segments.
Mm-hmm.
Every 7 minutes, there's a commercial break.
Yeah.
And so you're really only getting 21 minutes. And so when there's constantly commercial breaks, you're getting into the story. 7 minutes pass on the dot, there's a commercial. You get another 7 minutes, it comes back, and you're really getting into it. And like Cusco, you threw off my groove, commercial again.
Right.
Then it comes back for the last 7 minutes, but you keep breaking up the storyline and the action. And the momentum that has built up within that 7-minute block gets cut and shut down. And it really interferes with the flow of the episode itself. And that's why I think the pilot episode at 45 minutes, not having a commercial break every 7 minutes, works better.
Right.
And in this episode, you get introduced to Moon Girl and her community, her neighborhood, her family, her friends. You get introduced to who everyone is, and you get a really quick introduction to how she ends up being Moon Girl and how she ends up meeting Dinosaur.
Right. And we had mentioned in our other video that we do like the idea that Lunella has a larger family all together in one roof. Because we learned in the comic, the mom's side do not deal with the rest of them because of she married the dad. So we like that the family is more together. There's more, I guess, a more sense of love in the show. And we do like that it seems a little more friendlier, because with the comic it can seem a bit standoffish and you understand she has to open up more. But you do like in here that it adds to the fun that she has more family for you to know, and it can build on that instead.
And also for this version of Lunella, because she's really different from the comic. At first, when we originally watched this pilot episode, we didn't understand why they chose to do it. We were hoping maybe they make her more like the comic and so forth. But after reading more of the Moon Girl comics, we understand why they chose to make her more outgoing, more friendly, more bubbly, because the Moon Girl, the comic, as you said, is a little standoffish. She's very arrogant, and a lot of times she's disrespectful of the adults that are around her and the people she deals with. And I don't think that would have worked well for this type of animated series. So now that we've seen a lot more episodes and read more of the comics, we do believe that having it turned into a different version of the character with a lot of the same personality traits, habits, and so forth works better with her being sunnier.
Right.
Because if she weren't sunny and she were more like the one in the comic, I don't think it would have ended up being as popular.
Right.
Now, that being said, nothing's wrong with the version in the comics. But I think the goal is to attract as many people as possible into getting engaged in the series, liking the series and the character, and the escapades that happen, and making it more fun rather than more STEM-based.
Right.
Because in the book it's really, really STEM-based.
Correct, yeah.
And this way it appeals to people of varied ages. Rather
Yeah,
than the comic,
that's true.
it really would appeal more to an older reader than it does to a broader spectrum and a lot of younger viewers.
Right, because the comic is supposed to be considered all ages, but you can tell they're kind of focused more on if you're a little older understanding the book. But the animated show does feel like it's trying to embrace the all ages group thing, because there are, especially with the topics they address with the social commentary and social issues like gentrification, hair growth, and other things. They do a better job incorporating that, but not feel like you're talking down or being too high.
And I also want to say, you don't have to look like the character to appreciate everything that's going on. Sometimes when shows are put on, especially on Disney, that seems to be the message, but you've got other series like Amphibia and Owl House and Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
And Wander.
And Wander and Randy Cunningham, and you've come to grow to love all of these characters. And it's the same with this character. So it's not a show that's specifically for a specific group. And when you watch it, you found out that's not the case. It's really meant to be a joy for all. And it is. And the pilot episode really gives you the exact feel of what they want this series to be.
Right.
So these are our choices of the top 5 best episodes of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur so far. If you've seen the series or you're watching as we are on Disney, or if you finished it on Disney Plus, do you agree? Do you have other choices that we left out? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus, available in full for the season.
Yes.
Or you can keep watching like we do on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, on Saturday mornings.
At 8 or 9 a.m. depending on the location you're in. And they run half an hour, but really 21 minutes with 7 minutes segments and a bunch of commercials.
Right.
And if you've read the comics, let us know also in the comments below. We're reading it. Some of them are really fun and some of them are a little more serious. So we're kind of still getting a grasp of whom the comic Lunella is versus the anime series Lunella is. Animated series Lunella is.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and videos of your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us for this countdown. It is now summer, so
yay!
With Paws On Animation, you know you get a video 6 days a week, Sunday through Saturday, and then the same for July.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us every day. We appreciate you. And if you already are not being followed by us and you want us to check out your channel, leave your name in the comments below or a link, and we'll check you out and support you as well.
Yes. So thanks so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
Girl,